Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by as we go through a 7-round mock draft as the first week of NFL free agency is in the books. The Giants now have some different team needs. I do think they should still prioritize best player available when they are on the clock, but with additions to positions like corner and safety, those needs may move down the list. We haven't done a mock draft either with the new comp picks, and here are the 8 total draft picks that the Giants have heading into April's draft. They're going to pick once in the first round, pick 3, then pick 34 at the top of round 2, then the number 1 overall pick in round 3, 65 overall. They get a comp pick from Xavier McKinney leaving in free agency. That'll be at the tail end of round 3, number 99 overall. Then you'll pick 105, 154, 219, and 246. And with 5 picks inside that top 105, the New York Giants have a great opportunity to add some talented young players to this football team. The top position of need, though, still is the quarterback position. As of filming this video, we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Giant. We don't know if Russell Wilson or Joe Flacco or maybe even Jameis Winston, who they're having on a free agency visit, will come to this team. Even if any of those guys sign, quarterback is still the top need. And defensive tackle also remains a big need for me. I know they went out and they added some depth pieces, one of which I really like. I thought Ledbetter was a good acquisition for a veteran minimum deal, but a starting defensive tackle next to Dexter Lawrence is still number 2 on my list. An offensive line can be improved as well. Maybe a center in the draft to challenge a guy like John Michael Schmitz. Can you get a draft pick early on at right guard that can maybe be your starting right guard, and Greg Van Roten can be your top interior offensive lineman off the bench? You got to add some more offensive playmakers as well. Like, it is what it is. The Giants were not a good offense last year. They averaged 16.1 points per game. They've added 0 new starters to the offensive side of the ball. That needs to be a priority in this draft. And if I have to say what the next biggest need would be, it would be edge or inside linebacker. I like where the Giants are at in the edge department. I think they could use another guy with Azeez Ojulari signing a 1-year deal to go play for the Philadelphia Eagles. You have Burns, you have Thibodeau, you brought in Chauncey Goldston, and at the inside linebacker spot, you could maybe add another guy there. 5, maybe 6 big needs as we continue to roll on here in this mock draft. Shout out to all of y'all, though, that have subscribed to the channel. We have picked up over 3,000 subscribers over the last 28 days, and we are on our way to 69,000 subscribers. How nice that will be. If you're a real one and you bleed blue and red and you want free videos every day on the New York Football Giants, hit that sub button. Be one of the 240 people we need help from to reach our goal of 69,000 subscribers. Alrighty, mock draft 10.0 here on the channel. Unfortunately, Cam Ward goes number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. I'm pretty confident that is going to happen. I don't see them trading out of that spot with a guy that they see as a franchise quarterback on the board. And I have Shedeur Sanders in this draft with the Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator falling to the Cleveland Browns. A lot of smoke coming out of Cleveland. Talked to my good friend Matthew Peterson who runs that channel. Seems like there's a strong likelihood he could be the number 2 overall pick as the next Browns quarterback, which means the Giants are on the clock at pick number 3, and I selected the Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter, the star receiver and the star corner. At 6 foot and a 3/8 of an inch, 188 pounds and 21 years old, I think he was the best football player on the board. And the Giants, they have to go draft that player. I know you probably don't need another starting outside corner with the addition of Paulson Adebo and Deonte Banks. And maybe you don't need a wide receiver too after you gave Darius Slayton $36 million. But this is someone that I believe could be a Hall of Famer in this league and potential to be an All-Pro on both sides of the football. And I actually think he's a better offensive player than he is a defensive player. I think he's got Hall of Fame potential as a wide receiver, and I think he'd be a Pro Bowl and a really good long-term starter at corner. This is someone and has also gotten better and better every single year as a receiver. You see he goes from 18 catches to 57 catches all the way up to 96, and he looks a lot like Justin Jefferson, a lot like Odell Beckham, and a lot like a guy like Jerry Jeudy when he plays receiver. 13.1 yards per catch, 15 touchdowns last year, just 3 drops, and 1,258 yards on 96 grabs. And when you just look past the box score and you look at some other stats, when the ball is in the air, Travis Hunter is going to go get it. He was targeted 30 times in contested catch situations, hauling in 19 of those. He converts at a 63.3% chance in his career in contested catch situations. That's one of the highest marks in college football. He's also an unbelievable game-breaking talent when the football is in his hands. 47 missed tackles forced over his career, a drop percentage of just 2.3, and 756 yards after the catch. When the ball is in his hands, I think he's the best player in the class. When the ball is in the air in a 50-50 spot, I think he's the best player in the class, and he just has game-changing ability. He can also get it done as a corner. If Deonte Banks struggles in year 3, you can quickly pivot to Travis Hunter being your starting corner alongside Paulson Adebo. He also grew as a defensive back, which is something that I really like from 2023 to 2024. The pass breakups almost double. The interceptions go up by 1. But the Pro Football Focus coverage grade also went up a lot. And when he was targeted, he didn't allow nearly as many catches. Someone that I think could be a great DB in this league, but an all-time great potentially at that receiver spot. And the Giants, they need another offensive playmaker next to Malik Nabers. And if I get to roll with Nabers and Hunter and maybe a veteran quarterback and maybe one coming in this draft, those are pretty solid building blocks. I'm curious, though, if you were on the clock when Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter were on the board with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders going number 2 overall, who would you pick if you're the Giants, Carter or Hunter? Let me know. With the Giants being unsuccessful when it comes to adding a quarterback in round 1, you got to add one in round 2. And Jackson Dart was the best quarterback on the board when I was on the clock with the 34th overall pick. A lot of people think that I'm not a fan of Jackson Dart. I just think he's a round 2 quarterback for a lot of different reasons. He's got talent. He's got a high ceiling. He's someone I'm actually willing to bet on in round 2. There needs to be development there. There still needs to be, I think, a year of sitting and watching and learning, and he could benefit from being in a quarterback room with an all-time great like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or Joe Flacco. But there's still some things I really worry about. His eyes consistently drop to pressure. I don't think he gets through his reads all that well, and I think he's got a little bit of the turnover bug in his game. I cannot forget what happened at the end of that Florida game where he threw 3 interceptions or had 3 turnovers in the final 90 seconds. But there's traits and skills that I'm willing to bet on in round 2. That's why he's not a round 1 guy. He's got talent. He's got upside. He's got potential. All of that. But I think he needs to sit a year in the NFL. But when you watch the tape, the tools are very obvious. He's really accurate with the football. He's got a strong arm. He's an underrated athlete. And he's shown the ability, I think, this year more than last year, that he can control the game a little bit more at the line of scrimmage. And I think in a Brian Daboll offense, and I think Brian Daboll, watching his film, might fall in love with this kid. He can take the top off the defense, and we know in 2025 in the NFL, if you want to score points, you want to do it consistently, you want to do it often, you have to create chunk plays. And Jackson Dart, he was number 1 in college football this past year when it comes to deep yards, over 1,517 of those. His big-time throw percentage, tied for 6th in the country. His average depth of target, how far are you pushing the ball down the field every time you throw it? 11.9 yards per throw, tied for 6th in college football. An adjusted completion percentage of 77.7, 13th in college football last year. 25 big-time throws to 15 turnover-worthy plays. Needs to cut down on those a little bit. Be smarter with the football. Grow as a quarterback. Learn how to read coverages and not always rely on those first reads. I think he was able to benefit from that being in the offense that he was in at Ole Miss. But I do still think there is a way he can improve. And look, this is someone that I think has to improve under pressure. You look at the different stats when you talk about when he was clean in the pocket and when he wasn't. When he was kept clean, he was awesome. 70.7% completion percentage, off the charts. 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. You'll love to see it. 17 big-time throws to just 7 turnover-worthy plays. When it's on time and on target and on schedule with a clean pocket, Jackson Dart can be a successful quarterback. I worry about when the play breaks down. Under pressure this year, he completed just 42.5% of his throws, 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, and 8 big-time throws to 8 turnover-worthy plays. When he is under pressure, when the pocket is murky and there's rushers in his face, I worry if he can be a cool and calm, collected quarterback in that type of situation. We're going to have to see, and that's where he's going to have to grow if he wants to be an NFL starter in this league. Another thing that I like about him, I think he's an underrated athlete. I think he's got a little bit of a Jalen Hurts type of rushing ability in his game. And he's a big, strong kid at 6'2", 225 pounds. This past year at Ole Miss, these are Pro Football Focus numbers, which account more for not taking away rushing stats for if a player takes a sack. 648 yards on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns, 22 missed tackles forced, 312 yards after contact, 28 runs of more than 10-plus yards, and 4 runs of more than 15-plus yards. When he scrambled and he had to create, he picked up 384 rushing yards. And when it was a design QB run, QB power, an option, any type of run like that, 264 yards. So his legs are a part of his evaluation, and I think that's gone underrated a little bit. He plays with a physicality to it. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I see some Jalen Hurts in his rushing ability. And I'm not so sure the Giants, and when I say Giants, I mean Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, can afford to leave the 2025 NFL draft without a quarterback. And if you're unable to take Shedeur and you're unable to take Cam Ward, you better do what it takes to get Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe, because outside of those top 4 QBs, I don't really have any confidence in them to A, be people that keep your job, and C, be people that I can bet on as franchise quarterbacks. I'm not so sure. So after Hunter in round 1 and Jackson Dart in round 2, we went into the trenches, and we added my favorite day 2, I would say, defensive tackle in this class. That is Alfred Collins out of the University of Texas, 6'5", over 320 pounds. He's got the size to play a nose tackle position, but he's got the feet, the athletic ability, and really just the balance to play any spot on the D-line. And he's a better pass rusher than his stats might show you. Only 1 sack this year, but 18 pressures, 23 pressures in 2023. And this is someone that I believe there is a lot more room for him to grow. He is a massive human being. He's got good feet. He's explosive. He's strong at the punch point. And I think if he comes to this football team and gets to learn from Dexter Lawrence and be coached under Andre Patterson, maybe the best defensive line coach in the National Football League, Andre Patterson could potentially take Alfred Collins to the next level. And that next level could be a game-wrecking, game-changing, foundational piece to the New York Giants defensive line. If you get to roll Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and Alfred Collins out there with the other depth pieces you've added in free agency, that is going to boost your run defense. Alfred Collins would be a hell of a pick. If we're going to get Jackson Dart as our quarterback, I got to get somebody that is comfortable throwing the football to. And I'm going to get his go-to guy, Trey Harris, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss, with the 99th overall selection. So you get Travis Hunter to add to wide receiver 2. Trey Harris, on the other hand, could add to wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, as I actually do think Jalen Hyatt is going to be traded. Trey Harris was also the quarterback for Malik Nabers in high school. So he has a relationship with Malik Nabers. He has a relationship with Jackson Dart. I love all of that. But I picked him because he's a damn good football player and someone that I think can continue to grow and grow because he played high school quarterback. He's only been playing receiver for a couple of years, and I think the more time he spends on that, I think he can grow. And I love having a quarterback's mindset at the wide receiver position. I think that's why him and Jackson Dart were able to be such a good connection. Had a little bit of an injury pop up this year, but in 8 games, the guy still went over 1,000 yards, 17.2 yards per catch, and 7 touchdowns. This guy is a deep threat. He takes the top off the defense. He can learn a lot from a guy like Darius Slayton. 18.2 yards per catch in 2023. As a guy that played quarterback just 4 years ago, having that football IQ and looking at the field through a quarterback lens, and you pair that with his athletic ability, I think he's someone I'm willing to bet on as a long-term contributor in this league at pick number 99. We're also going to improve the interior offensive line with pick 105. One of my favorite guys that I got to talk to at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indy this year was Tate Ratledge, the right guard from the University of Georgia, a bulldog through and through. He's got a mullet as well. Like, when you think of your dream interior offensive lineman, it's Tate Ratledge. He's got O-line swag. He's got confidence, and he plays with a motor and a ferocity that I fell in love with on tape. Doesn't have the best, I would say, athletic ability, but he's someone that wins with his football IQ, his heart, and his fundamentals and sheer power. In the run game last year, PFF graded him out as a 74.7, which is a really good number. His pass blocking grade, 77. Overall, 74.4. Didn't allow a single sack last year in 500 snaps and was only penalized 2 times. Not someone that I think could be an immediate starter for you. He can, if he needs to be in that spot, but learning behind a guy like Greg Van Roten and being someone that could, I think, be a starting right guard down the line, it was an easy pick for me at pick 105. I went to the linebacker spot in round 5 at pick 154. Kobe King, the interior linebacker out of Penn State. When you watch his film, you could tell he is truly the quarterback of the defense. His football IQ, his instincts, his ability to read and react and get downhill and make plays pop off the page. Maybe not the most athletic player, maybe not the most dynamic player, didn't test all that well, but when you talk about football instincts, getting downhill, making plays, and using your football IQ to stand out, Kobe King, he's someone that I really like at round 5. Giants will pick for a while, 154 to 219, but somehow, someway, Malachi Moore, the safety out of Alabama, was still on the board. I got to talk to my guy, Chris, who works here at Chat Sports, big-time Alabama fan, covers the Alabama football report for us, says he was really good as a freshman. He regressed as a sophomore, but as a junior and senior, he was good but not great. Went from future first round as a freshman to day 3 guy. Good dude, though. He said he had a meltdown at the end of the Vandy game that caught a lot of attention, but that is out of his character. This is someone that I think could play the back half of your defense in a single high, cover 1, cover 3, or he could play halves or even slide into a quarters type of role. I thought he wasn't afraid to get downhill and make plays in the run game, and I know you went out and you added Javon Holland. You still got Tyler Nubin, but outside of that, you need some more young bodies there, and I think that could make some sense for the Giants late in the NFL draft. Johnny Walker was the last player that I was able to select in this draft. Round 7, pick 246. 1, hell of a name, passes the name test, but 2, hell of a pass rusher as well. I don't know why he's going so late in all these mock drafts. 9.5 sacks last year for Walker at 6'2.5", 246 pounds. He's got the size, the production's there, and if Joe Shane can find a pass rusher in the dark here late in day 3, that's going to be a cherry on top. Grade this mock draft for me, A, B, C, D, or F. Get out your red pen. Didn't get the quarterback at the top of the draft, but I think got the best player in the class. Got a hell of a defensive tackle. If I could make any changes, maybe I would have drafted a running back to try to add to that running back room, but I like leaving with 2 playmakers at that receiver spot. That was a pretty good draft. Not my best, but I thought a good one. Be honest. Let me know your grade. And make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on IG, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Big Blue.